This
is Woodside Church Kids.
Hey everyone, my name is Matty and welcome to this week's video. We've got another great session lined up for you with games and activities and worship, so I'm really excited about what we've got coming up later. But first, I want you to think about things that you might get in trouble for at school or at home. What things can you do at school or home that you might get told off for? Maybe you didn't do the washing up when your parents asked you to, or maybe you didn't hand in that piece of homework when you were meant to. Now, what kind of consequences or punishments might you get for these things that you do? Maybe you get told off, or you might get detention, or maybe you get extra chores next week. Do you think that it's always fair that we get punished for things that we do? And what would happen if we didn't get punished? What happens if someone did something wrong against you and they didn't get punished for it? How would you feel? And have you ever been let off of a punishment? You know, maybe you didn't hand that bit of homework in time, but the teacher went, "Don't worry about it, can you get it to me tomorrow?" Or maybe you didn't do the washing up, but your parents went, "That's fine, I can do it, just, maybe try doing better next week." How does it make you feel when you're let off of things like that? And if you're expecting to be punished, how would you feel? Does it make you feel a bit sad or guilty or worried? And if you then were let off of that punishment, how would you feel then? Would you feel happy or relieved or grateful? And would you act differently afterwards? Well, today's story is from the Bible, and it's about a guy who didn't listen to what God wanted them to do and actually got punished by God for doing that. And we're going to learn about them in just a bit, but first I'm going to be joined by two other people and we're going to do some worship together. So stay tuned for that.
Welcome to Woodside Kids Worship, and today we're going to do Our God is a Teeny Weeny Weeny God. Yeah, our God is a great big God, and that's what we're going to sing. My name is Vicky.
I'm Hermione.
And my name is Matty.
Guys, get your space, find a space in your room, in your lounge, in your garden, wherever, and we're going to do this. Come on, have fun.
Let's worship. In a second.
Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. He is higher than a skyscraper, and He's deeper than a submarine. He is wider than the
name's Richard, and this is going to be the Bible story for today. It's called Jonah the Groaner. Jonah was a groaner. That's right, a groaner. So when God told him to go to Nineveh and tell the people who live there to change their evil ways, what did Jonah do? Jonah groaned. Not Nineveh, he groaned. Anywhere but Nineveh. The people who live there are our enemies. And when he had stopped groaning, Jonah bought himself a ticket for a boat ride. A boat ride that would take him far away from Nineveh. God listened to Jonah groan. God watched him buy his ticket, but God still wanted Jonah to go to Nineveh. So when the boat reached the deepest part of the sea, God sent a storm. God, help us, cried a sailor. We're sinking. God, save us, cried another. We're tipping over. God must be very angry, cried the captain, with someone here on board. And what did Jonah do? Jonah groaned. It's me, Jonah groaned. I'm the one God's angry with. He told me to go to Nineveh, and here I am, sailing in the opposite direction. Throw me into the sea, and your troubles will all be over. God, forgive us, the sailors cried, as they tossed Jonah into the water. And almost at once, the sea grew calm. Oh dear, Jonah groaned, I'm sinking. Oh no, Jonah groaned, I'm going to drown. Oh my, Jonah groaned, that's the biggest fish I've ever seen. And before he could groan another groan, the fish opened his mouth and swallowed Jonah up. It was God who sent the fish to rescue Jonah and to give him time to think. He had plenty to groan about now, of course. The fish's slimy stomach, the seaweed, and the smell. But Jonah was still alive, and that was something to cheer about. So Jonah stopped his groaning and prayed a prayer. I was sinking, Lord, I was drowning, but you saved me. So now I will do whatever you want. 3 days later, the fish spat Jonah up on the beach, and Jonah kept his promise. He went straight to Nineveh and told the people that God wanted them to change their evil ways. 40 days is all you've got, he warned. And if you haven't changed by then, God will destroy your city. The people of Nineveh listened. The people of Nineveh wept. Then the people of Nineveh changed, from the king right down to the poorest slave. They decided to do what was right. And what did Jonah do? Jonah groaned. He sat himself down in the shadow of a tree and he groaned. I knew this would happen, he groaned. You are a loving God who loves to forgive, but I still don't like the people of Nineveh, and I wish they'd been destroyed. Jonah fell asleep, groaning, and during the night God sent a worm to kill the tree. When Jonah woke up, he groaned more than ever. The tree is dead, he groaned, and now I have no shade. Oh Jonah, God sighed, you cry about this tree, but you care nothing for the people of Nineveh. I want you to love them like I do. And finally, God added, I want you to stop your groaning.
Thank you for that story. What a great story that is from the Bible. It's actually one of my favourite stories. Now, what do you think the word mercy means? Have you ever heard that word before? Do you have any idea what it might mean? Well, mercy is about being forgiven and not getting the punishment that we deserve for something that we've done wrong. Now, God in our story was merciful to all the people in Nineveh. He didn't punish them like they deserved. They were really doing really bad things, but God didn't punish them. He was merciful. He gave them a second chance. And actually, Jonah got a second chance in the story too. Can anyone remember where he might have got his second chance? That's right. when he was swallowed by the big fish rather than drowning in the sea in the storm. See, and another prophet in the Bible, Jonah was a prophet who heard from God. There's another guy in the Bible called Micah who also heard from God. He was a prophet, and he said that the Lord has told you to do what is good, and this is what he requires of you: to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. See, Jonah loved mercy when he was on the receiving end, when God was helping him. He loved mercy then, and being swallowed by the big fish. But he got angry when God showed mercy to the people of Nineveh. He wanted them to be punished for the things that they'd done wrong. He loved mercy when it was towards him, but was angry at God for being merciful to the people of Nineveh. Now, what would mercy look like for us? It would be not being punished for all the things that we do wrong. God is merciful to us as well. He's merciful to Jonah, he was merciful to the people of Nineveh, and he is merciful to us as well. We do lots of things that are wrong and would separate us from God when we do things called sin, which is when we do bad things that are against what God wants for us. It separates us from God, but he chooses to forgive us and not give us the punishment we deserve. Sometimes people do horrible things to us as well. It's not us just doing bad things to people. People might do horrible things to us. How can we show them mercy? We can be a little bit like Jonah sometimes. When we're on the receiving end of mercy, we love it, but we're quite quick to be angry at people who do bad things against us. This is not a great thing, but it's understandable. It doesn't seem fair sometimes, but we need to think like Jesus did. We need to show mercy to other people, just as Jesus and God have shown mercy to us. Jesus died on the cross in the ultimate act of mercy, because we should have died, but Jesus died for us. We do the bad things, but Jesus took those bad things away. Jesus died in the ultimate act of mercy, so we need to be like him and be merciful to other people. And the amazing thing is that we don't even have to just do that by ourselves. It's really tricky sometimes, so we can ask God to help us too. We can pray to him to help us as well. And now we're going to move on to this week's challenge, so get up your feet and get involved and see if you can be our leader in this week's challenge. Hello Engage, I am back again with today's challenge. This week we are trying the memory challenge, and the memory challenge is all about these 10 different things that I have sat in front of me right now. These 10 things: we have got a comb, a wallet, a pair of tweezers, a ruler, a pencil, a sponge, a mobile phone, a roll of sellotape, a tube of toothpaste, and a set of keys. Now I want you to try and remember as many of these 10 items as you can, but you've only got 10 seconds to try and remember them, and then I'm going to hide them and see how many you can remember the names of. So here you go, you've got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, have you remembered all of them? I'm going to slide these forwards so you can't see them. We're getting rid of the tweezers. That's going. All of these are getting out of the way. So hopefully you can no longer see any of these items. And now what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper or write a note on a phone or something like that and try and remember as many of those things as you can. I reckon since I can see them, I could probably remember all 10. But I want to see how many you can write. So maybe pause the video and write down as many as you can think of, and then I'm going to bring them back. Alright, I'm bringing them back in 3, 2, 1. Alright, the first object was our comb. Did you remember the comb? It's quite shiny, so you might have stuck in your brain. The next one was a wallet. Maybe it's a little bit simpler, so you might have forgotten that one. Or a small item next was the pair of tweezers. Followed by that is our ruler, which I remembered that one because I could see it. Can you remember what the next one was? That's right, it was the pencil. I've got a daddy long legs flying around as well. That's fun. Also, I've got a sponge. That's a bit of a strange item, so you might have slipped your mind. The next one was, of course, the phone. And following by that, we've got the sellotape roll. And then the next one was another bit of a weird one. That's right, it was the toothpaste. And finally was a bog standard set of keys. How many of those 10 did you manage to remember? I remembered all 10 of them, But did you manage to get all 10? How many do you think you could get? If I had 15 or 20 things, do you reckon you could remember all of them as well? Well, why don't you ever go at home with the people that you live with and see how many items you can find at your house and how many they can remember. Well, we're going to go over to our craft now, so over to Vicky.
So today I'm going to do my craft for you, and the story was all about mercy. If you remember, it was all about mercy. And on my fridge, to make something for today, I have this, and it's a WWJD, what would Jesus do? And it's just a little piece of paper and it looks like Scrabble tiles. And I thought instead of doing WWJD, I'd do a mercy word, and we're going to make our own so that you can have it on your fridge too. So what you're going to need is some paper and some pens, and you might need a ruler, although I'm not going to worry about the ruler too much on mine, and a little bit of Pritt stick and some scissors too. So what I did, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get your scissors and we're going to make a square, and to do that I'm just going to cut a long strip of paper off. I'm not going to use all of this paper. As straight a line as you can manage. If you need a ruler, just use one, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to cut it into square shapes, and I'm going to make sure they're about the same sort of size. It doesn't matter if they're not, it really doesn't matter. But if you want to measure it all out, you absolutely can. And I'm going to do 5 letters because there are 5 letters in the word mercy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my spare piece of paper so that when I'm doing the colouring in, I know you can't see the pieces of paper, they've disappeared. But I'm going to use my first piece and I'm going to choose a purple pen and I'm going to write the letter M for mercy. M. Then I'm going to do E. Do you know what comes next? You're right. R. I'm doing them in capital letters so that you can see them clearly, and if you ever play the game Scrabble, which is a word game, you will know that they are all in capital letters. So there's the word mercy. Now that would look a bit pretty rubbish actually on a fridge, so I've chosen another pen. Now you might have pencil crayons, and that's lovely, or you might have pencil crayons or ordinary crayons, and you're going to colour the background in. Again, because my colouring might go on the edge, I don't want to spoil my tablecloth, so I'm going to put my square on here and I'm just going to quickly, you can do it so much more neater than I can, I'm going to colour these letters in. So there's the M and the E. You're going to do it so much neater because you're going to have a lot more time. And if you get worried that they don't look very square, you can always straighten up your pieces, your little they're called tiles, with a pair of scissors. Snip the wonky bits off. And can you see on my paper I've got little spots where it's come through, so it's really important that you do have some newspaper as a background just to protect your tablecloth or your table or a carpet if you're doing it on the carpet. M-E-R-C and a Y. Now, the vital bit. That's all very well, but they don't look like Scrabble tiles yet, because what's missing, if you have a look at what would Jesus do? What's missing? You've got the letters. What's that in the corner? Now, in the game of Scrabble, each of the tiles or the letters are worth values of numbers. So I didn't know what it was, so I googled, good old Google, I googled up letters of values for Scrabble tiles and I got this picture. So I found out what M is, and it's a 3. So I'm going to write the number 3 on here in the bottom of the M. A tiny little one in the corner. Then I looked up E, and E is 1, it's worth 1. So I'm going to put a 1 on there. Then the R is also valued at 1. So I'm going to stick a little 1 on there. C is worth 3. I can't do that upside down, so I'll... And the letter Y is worth 4 points if you're playing the game. Now you need your bit of Pritt stick. And then I'm going to use another piece of paper actually. And I'm going to stick all of these letters. I'm going to put a tiny blob of glue on the back. And I'm going to put it as neat as I can on here. M. I'm going to do it upside down so you can see it. A little blob of glue, that's all you need. If you haven't got glue, you can use blue tack, or maybe if you're really clever, a little fiddly bit of sellotape wouldn't go amiss. You can fold it back on itself to make a loop of sticky. M-E-R-C-Y. And what does that spell? Spells mercy. Now you think, well, that's still too big a piece of paper. And it is. You don't want that on your fridge. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that out. And if you cut it out and you think, my cutting is terrible, use a ruler. I had made one earlier down here, but I've done it straight away. I've showed you it properly. It didn't take too long. Put all of that to the side, and there you go. There's your word mercy. That's the lesson we've been learning about, and you can put that on a piece of blue tack on your fridge, or have a magnet to hold it on at the corners, and that'll just remind you of the story of Jonah and how he was shown mercy by God. Have a great afternoon, kids, and we'll see you very soon. Take care, bye bye.